state your name. Do solemnly swear. To support and defend. The Constitution of the United States. Against all enemies. That I will obey the orders of the President of the United States.
Brave Souls United. Where you're never truly alone.
Welcome back to Brave Souls United. Brandon, got Steve here, founder, CEO, whatever you want to call him. He's the guy that came up with this whole idea, created it. Welcome back, man. We are excited about today's episode and very it's one that's hard for me because it's something that needs to be fixed, and it's something that we as veterans deal with daily. But today we're going to be talking about the challenges that combat veterans or veterans period deal with in a modern day world, and the needs of those veterans and how they're not being taken care of, and what we can do to resolve that or make it better for them. But to really kick this off, for me, it was a situation where I was broken, lost, confused. I felt abandoned, and I was struggling with PTSD, and got to a place where I wanted to cause self-harm, and there was nobody there. I was alone. A lot of that was my fault. A lot of that was the fault of the system. But in the end, God placed people in my life to help resolve that, to include my bride, Kimberly, and veterans that were counselors and therapists. But I think that today's going to be really in depth, and it's going to be a hard one in my opinion. But let's go. So, um, you know, trauma that we in the trauma that we take on, the burden that we take on as veterans, will bury us. It will break us, especially when we get out of service and we do not know where to look or where to go for that help. And Steve can speak to this. He's been there, done that. He's been doing it longer than I have. I was just blessed enough to find it earlier on. So 4 years ago, in Montana, we owned some land up there. I ended up in a place where God forced me to go into counseling and therapy, and luckily I found a special forces therapist and a Marine recon sniper. He was a Marine recon sniper counselor, and they really walked me through the process of coming back even stronger than I was before, and realizing that there are ways to cope and walk through this. And I didn't have to do it alone. I had people to walk beside me. I had people to sit in that dark foxhole with me and really face those demons and monsters that were causing me harm.
Can
But
we talk about that real quick though?
absolutely.
I love that you just said you didn't have to do it alone.
Yeah.
I want all of you watching that, just to remember that, because we're here for you and you don't have to do this alone. Sorry about that, brother. It's just really,
No,
really
absolutely.
powerful words right there. You're not
You know,
alone.
from the first point that you make your oath,
Mm.
raise your right hand and make that promise to go into the service and join that family, you're not alone, right? You always have a battle buddy, is what they call it in basic training. Then you have your brothers and sisters in your unit or your company or your regiment. And then, when you're in combat, you have your squad, those closest to you, right? Well, when you get out of the military, that all goes away, and you find yourself standing in the vast darkness of the world alone, you know, and you feel like you have to face those battles alone. Well, let me revert to the Bible real quick. Jesus and the disciples didn't even do it alone, right? They had each other. And Jesus, when he sent the disciples out to preach the gospel, the good news, they had one another. They went out in pairs. So we as men and women in the military are not created to do and face what we're facing alone. We are to come together and do the same thing that we are doing in the service, except better.
Mm.
and carry one another's burdens and help each other through that. But some of the things that we're struggling with right now are simple, and I'm just gonna like list them off: counseling, therapy, support groups, financial support, education and awareness of these issues. You got the stress management of just techniques and how to deal with these things, crisis intervention, and there's a lot of groups out there that are doing these things. But I think that, in my opinion, in looking at some of those things, some are coming up short, some are going really deep into it too fast. And I think that we want to slow it down to a more tactical pace of your time, God's time, and our time as one, and really take a nice tactical step into this, crossing that threshold and being able to face each one of these things at that precise or that accurate time. For you, Steve, when you were dealing with this, how did you feel about just let's just say having access to counseling and therapy? And I know you didn't want to go at first, and I know the story of this the little story about you and your dad snatching you up and saying you need help, right? But were you aware of any counseling and therapy being there to help you cope with what you were dealing with?
Absolutely not. I literally felt alone. And I love that you brought it up that way because, like, we join the military, we get indoctrinated because that's what it is. You enter
Absolutely.
into, you find your people, you find your circus. We joke about that. You find your circus, you find your monkeys, you find your clan, you find your squad. And then when you exit out, I cannot stress this word alone. I literally felt alone. And I didn't think that anybody would get it. I didn't think anybody would understand.
No.
I didn't think a counselor, psychologist, whatever word you want to attach, clinical worker, and there's so many different terms these days, but I didn't think anybody would understand. So absolutely no. I was closed-minded.
Right.
And
Well,
the scary part about that is I got so numb to it. And I talked about this on previous podcasts here on Brave Souls United, is that I was this carpet sweeper and I didn't want to deal with it. And I
right.
didn't want to deal, and I refused to deal with it. I refused to accept. I didn't even, bro, it was so bad that I got numb to the red flags.
Mm,
I got numb to them. I knew, deep down about my psyche was like, hey, you're drinking yourself to death. Hey, you're tampering with some narcotics. You're playing around with some things. You hear what I just said? I said,
yeah.
that's bro.
That's new.
I never
Yeah.
told you that before. Playing around
Yeah.
with things to try to get find ways to slap band-aids on my problems. I was so numb to the red flags that I think I was oblivious to even realize that there was help out there. So to answer
Right.
your question, no, I didn't, bro. I didn't have a Brandon. I didn't have a Steve. I didn't even have, no, no.
So let me ask you this. You said that, trying to replay it in my head, like you said that if you would have known
Hmm.
that it was there, how would that have changed early on from the alcohol, experimenting with other things? How would it have changed if you'd have known that it was there? And I'm not talking about the VA stuff. Don't get me started on the VA stuff, right? I'm not talking about,
Thank God.
yeah, don't get me started on the VA stuff, right? But let's talk about if you'd have known, say the counselor that you were going to or the therapist that you were going to through was there and they would understand. If there was somebody to sit you down at a table and say, you're wrong, they'll understand it and they will help you process it. How would that have changed things early on in your life?
You always have the ability to ask those questions,
Well,
bro.
I'll go first.
No, no, no. I'm good with it. I find it uh how creative you are to hit those nerves. It's a really good question, and I hope
That's
that
what I
all of
did
you are
for a living.
listening. I hope that all of you also are listening to what he just said, and I'm going to reciprocate that same question to you. I really don't know, bro. I think, as I haven't shared before, maybe I have. I don't know. We do a lot of these, and well, I had a buddy of mine, for instance, to put it in perspective. I had a buddy of mine that we went out drinking. to work through, deal with, or you know, we went out drinking, and that wreck that night,
Yeah.
um,
Which was episode one. You talked about that.
uh, and it probably would have prevented that. Um, I think that my first marriage was destroyed because of my alcohol abuse and my addictions to finding ways, good excuse me, bad and not good ways to deal with this. I think it probably would have prevented a lot of problems with my mom and dad, and my behavior was atrocious. I'm not going to use that word on here, but I was a douche. I mean, I wasn't a jerk. I was in a bad place, dude, and I didn't know how to handle it. It probably would have caused a lot less problems
Yeah.
in my family. I probably would have been more attentive to my kids, my girls, which I've had to go back and restore those relationships because I have.
Mm.
There was yeah, bro, you asked. I had to go back, beg, plead, and reestablish uh, some brokenness that I caused with my daughters. And I can
Okay.
tell you this, and I don't want to get emotional today, but one has really, really improved, um, and one, and I hope she doesn't see this, but one hasn't. And so, deep down inside, I wish I would have known. I wish I would have explored. I would have probably prevented some damage. And we all know that sometimes wounds may come across as healed, but as you get older, you realize that those cracks are still there, and you've caused some problems. I think it would have prevented some problems. Would I change anything? Yeah, see, you're my brother, dude. I probably wouldn't change anything because I believe that, and I'm not telling you all watching this to not acknowledge or seek. We're actually telling you to go get help.
Right.
But I think it's created me into the servant that I am today. It's made me more
Amen.
aware, more understanding, more supportive. I'm able to connect at a deeper level with my fellow veteran. And but yeah, man, I didn't know.
Yeah. So let me ask you this then. In with your bride now, how amazing is this relationship because of getting the courage and the strength to go back into combat with your mental state and really put that in check with counseling and therapy? How much better off do you think your relationship now is?
Uh,
Vulnerability wise, intimate wise. And when I say intimate, I mean soft. You know that relationship you have with your bride.
well, it's made me a better man.
There it is. Yeah.
It's made me a better communicator. It's made me a better listener.
Amen.
Um, I don't think that I thought in my mind that nobody would listen to me
Mm,
until I met guys like you.
right.
Um, it made me a better listener. And with that being said, my marriage is 1,000 times better today with Jennifer because of this transition, because that's what it is.
Absolutely.
A lot of healing has happened, and it's made me a better father. It made me a better husband. My relationship is stronger today um, for getting help.
Amen.
I don't know if I would be who I am today if I didn't get help, bro. I mean, how raw do you want me to be? I don't think I would be the person I am today. I don't
Yeah.
know if I'd be around. I mean, I mean, how deep do you want me to go? I don't think I would be around. The path that I was on was headed downhill at a rapid rate. Put it that way.
Oh, same. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, go ahead.
No, I just said you're giving me flashbacks in a good way, and I really am now thinking in my mind because of the question you just asked. Like I'm in a better place
That's right.
today because of getting help. So how about that?
So the point of the whole counseling and therapy point for me, the point that I want to make is this. it sucks to go back over with a fine-tooth comb what we've been through, what made us that way. Lost, abandoned, walls, chaotic, angry, hurt, just whatever you want to call it. It hurts to go back through it with a fine-tooth comb, but it will make your life so much more peaceful in the end. I guarantee you that you went from a place of angry rage, raising your voice or elevating your voice, being the soldier again within the walls of your home, to a place of now I look at like you and Jennifer's relationship, and we've only met one time in person, but watching the way that y'all's relationship is from here, it's calm, it's intimate, it's communicative. You work together as one unit with God to be what you are, to be who God wanted you to be. And I believe that you would not be capable of that if you wouldn't have did what you did, went through counseling and therapy. Because it's the same thing for me. I was angry, I was hurt, I made other people pay for it while I wore the badge. I was the authority. I am the end all be all. I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm a servant. And in all actuality, all I was doing was causing more trauma and hurt because of my trauma and hurt, right? And counseling and therapy fixed that for me. And now Kimberly and I, our relationship is calm, peaceful, communicative, loving. And we've never even raised our voices to each other. We just won't. We won't.
Yeah.
It is. Let's look at this as one unit and figure it out and just resolve it. Fantastic, done, right? And it's that way with every relationship that I go into. I try to make you know almost everything about me already, almost. But
Okay.
because there are things just like you have that eventually will come out. And
Yeah.
I know it'll be soon. And it'll be in a situation or a place that is secure, safe, and it will foster the healing process and allow me to come further out
Mhm.
and be more capable and give me more wisdom and knowledge to help others. There's a reason for everything. And I
Yeah.
think that counseling and therapy is the first step that needs to be taken by anybody that struggles from any kind of combat trauma, PTSD, and really talk about it. But you got to find the right person.
Yeah. It's taught me to be um it's taught me to truly love unconditionally. I think
Yes.
unconditional love is uh and some of you are probably watching this, you're like, and you're like where we both were. I'm not doing this, and that's all fine. But I'm telling you right now,
Yeah.
it has to happen,
Yeah.
or destruction will win. I mean, you got to understand, if you don't heal, if you don't deal with, if you don't learn to overcome, see those red flags, and learn from this, man, I'm telling you, it's not going to serve you well. I always, um, and the best way I can describe this rather is I went from combative to compassionate.
Amen. Yeah.
And that is a long road. It sounds like, oh, simple, three words, combative to compassion. It was a long journey, but those are two extremes. And like combative is probably, some of you are like, yeah, that's me, and yeah, I'm still wound up, and yeah, I still carry that. I get all that. But learning to be compassionate, even with yourself,
Amen.
as I went through that, was so powerful. I mean, I used to despise the words self-love. I mean, that's probably the most unmanliest thing.
Yeah.
Self-love. I'm like, what the heck? Self-love.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, listen, guys, gals, if you don't learn to love yourself first, there's no way in the world are you going to ever love somebody else.
Right.
And I'm talking from my life. I'm telling you from my journey. I'm 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 wanting you to learn from my mistakes. Self-love has to happen first, and you've got to understand that healing must take place, or there's no way in the world are you ever going to love someone else.
That's right. I agree 100% because I hated myself. I
What?
did. I hated Brandon.
Oh,
Oh, I
I
hated.
thought I heard I hate myself. I'm like,
No, I hated. I hated
whoa,
myself.
we're gonna unpack that if that's the case, bro.
No, man. Those days are gone, brother. Those days are gone.
Talk about you though. Let's talk about those days. Like you are not gonna slide away that easy. Let's talk about those days. How did you, or what did you notice, or what happened in your life, or who stepped in to say, "Hey, Brandon, like, bro, let's hit this head on." What was that turning point for you? Mine was driving my truck into a wall, almost killing my buddy Anthony. I mean, it was
Yeah.
eye opening.
So, man, I was in law enforcement, man, and I was in a very just a marriage that was just it was broken. Like my ex-wife was a narcissist, and we just didn't communicate, and whatever the case may be with marriage. But I was very reckless on the job. I was looking for death. I was looking for a fight. I wanted to go out guns blazing. So I took advantage of wearing the badge and the gun on my hip and being the SWAT team member and taking all the training. And I would go out and I mean, I would look for every shift the fight. Where's the fight? Who's gonna challenge me and put me on my back? Bring it. Let's go. So what I was running on was that adrenaline. I was running on that recklessness. I was running on, you know what? I could leave this world right now and be okay. Right? And that's what I was doing, dude. I was hunting death down
Hmm.
and I was willing to take life for it. At all costs, I was ready to go. They're just scumbags to me. When they weren't, they were just broken, hurt people. I see it now. They were just like I was. I was one of them. But in the end, Kimberly, my wife now, she whew, she brings out the good in me and called me on it. Called
So
me on it.
it was Kimberly that helped you with that transition.
Oh yeah, man. She was like, try not to get emotional. Ooh. And I
Well,
was seeing I was
okay,
seeing
bro.
people that had died in front of me at the foot of my bed. They were watching me sleep, right? And
Good.
she was like, "Man, you got to forgive yourself first, and you got to let go of that self-blame, that shame." And I didn't know how to do it, Steve. I didn't know how to do it. And man, she just loved me and walked me through the process, got me into counseling, and she searched and found the perfect counselor and therapist, man, and brought me to him. Made sure I went to the appointments, sat in on every one so I knew I was safe,
Hmm.
right? And so she knows everything. I made sure she knows everything.
Okay. That's
And
deep.
I thought if she did, she'd hate me and see me as a monster, you know? But she didn't. She didn't. She didn't judge me. She didn't blame me. But yeah, she was the one, man. She was the one that changed my heart, my mindset, my drive, gave me peace. God did it through her.
There's a scripture that talks about that. It says two,
Yeah.
one, and God, you just described that, and I love that. The Bible talks about when two become one, when two join forces.
Yeah.
It doesn't say two become two, two become one, and there's a lot talk about healing. There's a lot of healing that happens when your spouse, your loved one, your closest, your Kimberly or your Jennifer understands more of what you're going through. Um,
Right. Without judgment.
yep, yep. That's why I said loving unconditionally. Yeah, unconditional love. That's unconditional love. That's no judgment. Um, Speaking of that, those of you that are watching that, I hope you just caught on to what he shared. Being transparent with yourself first, and then with your loved ones, um, creates a different, or I call it next level love, is what I call it.
Right.
And, there's no judgment.
Right.
Last time I checked, and I always revert to the Bible, and I say I always like to share things because it's really spoken to me that because I used to be judgmental. I was horrible.
Same.
I would be quick draw McGraw. I mean, I would be quick to point out somebody's faults, but then I quickly learned that every time I point finger, there's always three back at me. And somebody shared a scripture with me one day, and it really changed my life. And it said, "Those without sin can cast the first stone." And man, when I heard that, I broke, bro. Because here I am, and probably not this is the right podcast today on this, but man, I've done some bad things, and I did it to bad people, and I carried that burden for a long time. And somebody says, "Hey, man, there's nobody out there that can point a finger at you, man. There's nobody able to on the planet Earth that can cast that first stone. There's nobody without sin."
Yeah.
Sin is sin, and it's all categorized the same, and it really helped me in my healing process. So I don't believe in judging people. So I love you, bro, and I love the fact that you're man enough to share all that.
Yeah, I tell people still to this day, they're like, "What happened?" I'm like, "A 4'2" blonde put me on my back. Put me on my back and let me know how it was going to be. Gently, but I
Yeah.
was put me down, man. The next point, man, just that I wanted to hit on support groups, man. This is a hard one for me because it's hard to find a support group that you can click with. And a lot of guys and gals that were in the service will be like, I don't want to go to one. I was in the Air Force. I don't want to go to one that's Army, Navy, Marines, and whatever else. And I'm like, you know what? We have to look at it like this. No matter what you were doing, I don't care if you were flying a jet. I don't care if you were guarding a gate at a base or a fob. I don't care if you were a machine gunner or a sniper out on the hills, or on the combat or the war zone or whatever. Front lines. And we've all been through it. We all know what it's like to be there, right? So finding a support group of peers that will hold you accountable is very important. That can look at you and say, "Steve, this is going to hurt. It's negative, but I need you to look at it as positive criticism so you can grow and become what you need to become, who you need to become." Because when we can take that positive or negative criticism and adapt to it and utilize it to grow in ourselves mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, we become more mature in what we've faced and where we are now and where we are to help other people. But I think that talking with others who have experienced or at least seen what we are dealing with, similar experience or situations, it will also help foster that healing. But I think that, and there's a lot of them on Facebook, I'm learning, these support groups, and they do meet like on Zoom or Discord or on Facebook itself. But in-person groups to me are really, really good. It's just finding one. And if you can't find one, create one. Create one. Because if you can't find it, the others near you can't find it. So create one. Search them out like we're doing.
Mhm.
What do you think?
Kind of what I did here, man. I went to a group. Before I move on and share that, I read something somewhere, and it was very motivational. It was be the person you want to become, and it just kind of stuck out when you said that. So I hits home when you said that. I went to a couple groups. They were outdoor groups, and it just wasn't my jam. I mean, these guys were like smoking dope. And I went hunting one time, and these guys, we went on a goose hunt, and I'm all like, right on, man. I just want to get outdoors. That's my therapy. My place is outdoors. And we went on a goose hunt, and man, these guys were so hammered at 7 a.m. And I thought to myself, this is not me. I don't drink, and I'm not saying if you do, that's okay, but I'm just saying, like, not in that environment. So I thought, man, I'm going to create my own environment. And here we are today, you and I
Yeah,
doing this and start our own, because I believe in that statement, be the person you want to become, also be the support you want to become,
right.
be the leader you want to be. You can take that however you want to, but yeah, what Brandon's saying is if you can't find a group, a support group, a community create one,
Build it.
do it, be that person that you want to have in your life. And that's some powerful wisdom there, Brandon. That's good.
It
So
is.
you have the ability, you know what you need, create a support group locally of people like you. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, the thing is when I tell veterans that their comeback is this, I don't feel like I can lead something like that. You kidding me? Every military personnel goes through some sort of leadership, basic leadership, right? You have the skills. You served time under leadership that you watched lead, whether they were bad or good. You still know, okay, well, that wasn't good. I won't do that, so I'll do what this leader did. So we need to learn to lead the way and do what we're supposed to do for our brothers and sisters as well as for ourselves. So with Pillars Ministries and the Battle Ridden podcast, that was my goal. I didn't get what I needed to get, so I wanted to make sure that everyone that came across those platforms or came across the counseling or the coaching or the discipling or the mentoring portion got what I didn't get. And they still are, which is the same thing you're doing here, just different, you know? And I think that if you're having trouble in that area, build it. Build it. Because if you're struggling, others are struggling, and they may need just what you need. But I didn't have one. I never had one. Um, the physical. You got anything else on that?
No, I think that every time every one of us graduated basic, we became our own leader.
That's right.
You were meant for more. You were designed for more. You were broke down for a reason. You were raised up for a reason. You have what it takes. And we talk about combat. Well, this is a great form of combat. Go combat PTSD. Go combat trauma. Go combat loneliness. Go combat alcoholism. Go combat aloneness. Go combat a need that needs to happen. Go step into um, a leadership role in your community.
Right.
We didn't, you know, we did this because it needs to happen. Brave Souls United needed to happen.
That's
This is
right.
exactly why I did this. I've been doing this for years because I didn't have it. And I thought in my back of my mind was like, if I don't have this, who else is lacking? Who else needs this? I mean, I've helped 134 veterans get much needed help through the compensation and pension exam, through the VA process, mental health process. I have literally been a set of ears and eyes for 134 veterans that are now my brothers. And I've been through some dark times with a lot of them. Travis, Josh, I mean, I could, Veda, he'll punk me if I.
You're working with Chris right now.
I mean, there's what's that?
You're working with Chris on it right now.
Yeah, Chris. I mean, there's like guys, gals, veterans, like whoever's watching, like law enforcement. Go Scott, he's another law enforcement guy. We work on a different program with him. I mean, go be the person that you didn't have.
Right.
Go do it.
Yeah.
Nothing stopping you back.
This is the other side of this that I wanted to hit today, Steve, with this program before we wrap this up, and you're really going to take this one and run. Transitioning programs, whether you're getting out of the military or getting out of law enforcement, there has to be some kind of transitioning program, and there's not. And you're like, well, law enforcement, man, when I served 17 years in law enforcement, when I got out, it was the same feeling, brokenness, abandonment, betrayal, or whatever the case may be. And the transitioning into not having that is so complicated, right? And the military sucks at it. I'm just gonna say it. The military transitioning skills or the transitioning programs that are going from being service to out of service to the civilian life are horrible. And I wish we could make it better. We need to, I think, have secular programs for that. And hopefully one day we can create something that will help them in that. That'll help them over a period of 6 months to a year transition into civilian life from finances, relationships, social skills, not feeling alone and abandoned and going out and not be isolating yourself because that's what I did. I isolated myself when I was off duty or whatever. But job placement, educational opportunities, anything that they need that the VA lacks in or the transitional program lacks in, we can help them through that. But I think that eventually this program, Brave Souls United, will really drive something home, and that's skills that, because when you come from being an infantryman, what skills do you have other than being a cop, or a first responder of some sort? I mean, how do you process that? I mean, if I'd have had options, I'd have taken them, right? But what do you think about transitional programs?
Oh, I think it's huge. You described it perfectly. I came out of a combat role. I was medically injured, and they were going to give me a desk, and I said, I'm not going to go to a desk. It's just no way. I don't belong in one. So when I got out, I literally, you described it perfectly. I was alone, so I was looking for things, and you said it perfectly. The military does an absolutely horrible job of transitioning. I mean, I'm not familiar with law enforcement.
There's
Um,
nothing.
Okay, well, there you have it. So it sounds the same. Matter of fact, I think it's actually worse. I have had several conversations with a couple law enforcement officers that when they got out, they don't even have insurance.
No.
There's nothing in place for them. So it bothers me. I think that we're definitely going to explore. We're going to need some help. So if you're watching this and you have expertise in those areas, we'd love to talk with you. We'd love to plug you in. We are going to grow at a rapid rate. We are going to do everything in our wheelhouse to create avenues for you to occupy your time, because
Right.
being alone with your thoughts, being alone with your past, whether it's law enforcement or military, that is not healthy. So make sure that you're channeling that time alone into something productive. But yeah, there's a huge need for what we're doing. We're actually looking for some funding, and we're going to get some guys out in the outdoors, and there's lots of programs. They're growing. I do know that they're growing. There are things opening up that we're going to explore and add to our repertoire, if you will. And we're going to start having some links, and we're going to start having some programs that we're going to vet them. You and I are going to vet them. We're going to make sure there's real purpose behind them, because some of the ones that I've experienced, they're all about the dollar, and I'm not all about that. I'm all about the healing. Brave Souls United is all about healing, and we've stressed that hard on some of the previous podcasts. If you're not good for yourself, then you're not going to be good to others. So we're going to start there. We're going to definitely be vetting them. We're definitely going to be adding to this nonprofit. We're going to have some avenues for you guys to get out and do some stuff, whether it's woodworking. I know there's one up here. I got a buddy of mine, Rusty, which I'm going to be having him on the podcast here. He does drone flying, which is kind of cool. It gives you an occupation when you're outdoors. And yeah, dude, they pay for the whole thing. It's really, really cool. They've got a program. I'm going to be adding that here. They pay for you to get your certification in flying drones. I mean, there's lots of good stuff out there, but there's also some bad stuff out there. But we're going to vet it out, and we're going to be adding that to this. So I do think a lot of these programs can take your mind off of our past and put them geared towards a positive future. So yeah, we're working on it.
And then this is a hard one for a lot of veterans because of trauma and lack of faith in a higher power or whatnot. Faith-based support, man. Faith-based support. I know a lot of veterans are like, how can you believe in a God after what I've seen and what I've done? Where was God, right? What do you have to say about that?
Here's what I got to say about that. Podcast next. We're going to talk about that in depth. But man, it's interesting. I was that guy.
Same here.
When I was in basic, and feel free to cringe, I literally went to church only for one reason only. It was a 3-hour break from the instructors. I literally heard one day in the break room that, oh man, if you go to church, bro, like they'll march you there and you get to walk away from them, and Sergeant Keeney and Sergeant Lamb, they can't touch you. And I'm like, oh man, like sign me up. Like it literally were. And I remember them locked up on the sidewalk, and they had this look like, oh, we're gonna get you when you get out of here. But man, I remember going into church, and I kept looking back like, man, is this really happening? Like I get a breather? I only went to church.
Go sleep in service.
Bro, I was singing, and I didn't even know what was happening, but I was just glad that I was there. But the cool thing, and I already lost your question. I get flashbacks going on there. But man, I didn't know, but man, I found God in a war zone. And I don't know if you believe or not, and that's okay if you don't, but I found God in a war zone in a very, very horrible time in my life where we had some bad things happen, and I called out and I said, man, if you're a real God, and by the way, I don't suggest that you call out God. It's not advisable by any means, but I did because I didn't know any different. And I'm just telling you that are watching this. I'm sharing this for the first time in a long time that, man, he showed up. And I'm telling you all right now, there's no other way that your brother here is here if he didn't show up. I'll let you fill in the blanks. I'll let you figure that all out. I'm just telling you, I was in a very grim situation, and I remember looking up as a young man going, hey, man, if you're flipping, and I used a few foul words, and I'll let you fill those blanks, and if you're flipping real, you need to be here right now, and you need to do something. Probably not advisable, but he did, and he heard my cry, and I wouldn't be here today if he didn't. So I'm all about it. If you need to come to know him, don't do it that way, but he's real, and he's changed my life, and I'll never doubt it, question it ever again in my life.
Amen. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm all about faith-based, and so it has to be. It's important for me. I know it's important for you, but it's important for us. It's important here. We if you look at the name here, Brave Souls, like we understand your bravery. We can relate with your bravery, no matter what capacity it is, and that's why we know you're brave. You did what 93, 96% of the world didn't do, the US didn't do. You raised your hand. That is a bravery that doesn't happen often. So we commend you for that. But your soul is worth saving. Your soul is what we're after. So your soul. There's a lot more into that. We should probably have another podcast about that. Like your soul, we're after saving souls. And if that's too deep for you, man, I'd love to have a conversation with you because there's some realness to that. In that last word, united, we understand here the true meaning of better together. We're in the philosophy of you're not alone. United we stand. You can take that, and I'll run with that. I'll go as deep as you want with that. But listen, we need each other. I need you just as much as you need us, whether you agree or disagree. Listen, I'm telling you right now, united is the way we're going to get through, overcome, and embrace your trauma. So Brave Souls United was formulated in that fashion. Your bravery, we're after saving your soul because your soul's worth saving, and we're better together. And let me tell you something, we're here for you. Don't do this alone. We're here to help you overcome whatever you're going through.
Man, that's actually the perfect closing of this. I was hoping you would hit on Brave Souls United and how it was birthed. So, but yeah, man, that's good stuff. I think this is a great time to close. Great time to close.
We love you guys enough to reach out to you, man. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. Follow us closely. And again, if you have a need, reach out to us. We'd love to help you. You guys stay tuned.